Welcome back to Basics. I'm Shannon the Spoonie Stitcher. Remember to check out Teresa at Critters Crochet, link down below. Her style is different than mine and you might grasp onto it better. Today we're going to learn the single crochet and the slip stitch, two of my favorites. Single crochet helps you make cute little amigurumi, and slip stitches help you make great strength in your projects. Using a slip stitch as like the rim of a basket or the bottom of a purse or something is so great because it's a strong stitch, because there's very little room between the stitch and your hook, and it's really nice. However, working into a slip stitch is a lot harder than working into a single crochet. So that's why I'm going to teach you probably backwards than other people teach you. They teach you the slip stitch first. But getting your hook into a slip stitch is a lot harder, so we're going to teach you the single crochet and then the slip stitch. Okay? Ready? Let's go! Today we are going to learn the single crochet and the slip stitch. Now first, let's remember what we learned last time. If you did not see the previous lessons, I strongly recommend you watch those videos. Go to the playlist, it's linked down below. Okay, remember we have our slip knot and our chain, our front loop and our back loop, and our back bumps. How do we count a chain? We count the little V's. And I have 20. I would like you right now to crochet 20 chains. Then meet me back here. You can pause the video. Meet me back here, and then we're going to start. Okay, do you have 20 chains? Good job. Now, we're going to hold our yarn however we like. We're going to hold our chain, and we're going to hold our hook. Any way that feels comfortable for us. Today, we are going to make a single crochet into a chain. I am going to teach you how to make a single crochet into the back bumps of the chain. Teresa might teach you differently. Remember, we are doing this together. If you don't like my teaching style, you might like hers. Watch both videos, be very beneficial for you. So, we're going to turn our chain over so that the little back bumps are present, kind of like a little crocodile spine. Now, our first stitch, we can't get into. As you can see, there's no way to get your hook into that stitch. It's impossible. So, we are going to chain one. Remember, wrap, twist, pull through, and then we're going to turn it over again. Why did we do that? That is going to be called a turning chain. A turning chain helps distinguish how tall your stitches are going to be. I only needed to chain one because I wanted to make sure there were 20 stitches in my row, and obviously I couldn't get my hook into the first stitch, therefore that stitch would have been useless and I would have been down to 19. I needed that extra stitch, which doesn't count for anything, just to make sure my stitches would be the correct height and that I would be able to have 20 stitches. Does that make sense? Okay, we have our turning chain, so now we're going to twist so that the back bumps are up and our little crocodile spine. See them? You can see them really easily now. Okay, obviously we're going to skip that first one because we can't get our hook in there. That's why we made our turning chain. We're going to insert our hook into the bump, just a little bump. Nothing else. There will be 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to wrap, just like we did before, and just go through this first loop, like so. And then we're going to wrap and go through 2 loops. Don't worry, I'm going to do it again. We're going to go into the back bump, wrap, pull through 1, wrap, pull through 2. Into the back bump, wrap, go through 1, wrap, go through 2. Into the bump, wrap, go through 1, wrap, go through 2. Okay. Ready for our little rhythm? Here's what we're going to say. We're going to say bump, wrap, 1, 2. Ready? Bump, wrap, 1, 2. Bump, wrap, 1, 2. Bump, wrap, 1, 2. Bump, wrap, 1, 2. Do that all the way to the end of your chain, and I will meet you at the very end so you know how to do the very last stitch. Okay, the last stitch is here. This is the knot. You can even pull it so you make sure you know it's the knot. And then you'll see one last little bump just sticking up. So we're going to go into that bump. It might be difficult because it is next to the knot, so it can be a little tough. And then we're going to wrap and go through 1, wrap and go through 2. Okay. Now, can stretch it out a little bit because acrylic yarn can be a little bendy. This is why I teach the first row of a foundation chain this way. Because you now have 2 identical tops and bottoms. This is the bottom of the chain. This is the top of the chain. You will thank me because when you do borders, this will make your life so much easier. You now have exactly where you're supposed to put your hook instead of guessing, which is what happens in a normal chain. It's not fun. But if you start your foundation row out using the back bumps, making the 2 sides identical, life is so much easier. So that's why we do the bumps and not the back loop like you've probably been taught in the past. Okay, now then, let's make row 2. We need a turning chain because we need to make sure that our stitches are 1 stitch high. So we're going to chain and we're going to turn our work. And our first stitch is going to go here under these 2 V's. See the 2 V's? That is where our stitches go, under V's. Our first one went under bumps, but this one goes under V's, and both of them. So I'm going to insert my hook under both V's, wrap, pull up a loop, wrap, go through 2. Under the V's, wrap, pull up a loop, wrap, go through 2. One more time. Under the 2 V's, wrap our yarn, pull under the 2 V's, 2 loops on our hook, wrap, and go through 2. Let's create our rhythm. Under, wrap, pull through, wrap, pull through 2. Under, wrap, pull through, wrap, pull through 2. Now instead of our wrap twist motion that we had in our other video, we're now going to make wrap and twist the same motion. So we're going to insert our hook and wrap. And as we wrap, we are going to turn our hook so that it grabs the yarn and pulls it through. That is now one motion. So when we say wrap, we mean wrap twist. Okay? We're going to wrap again, and see, we're just going to twist that hook. Right there, it's going to catch the yarn. Ta-da! And go through 2. Insert our hook, wrap, and pull through 2. So, under, wrap, pull through, wrap, pull through 2. Under, wrap, pull through, wrap, pull through 2. I want you to say that over and over and over to yourself as you get to the end of this row, and I will meet you at the very end to show you how to do the last stitch so you don't put it in a false stitch. Okay, we're going to count our stitches to make sure that we do not put our hook in a false stitch. So, we are counting V's again, starting at the knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This is 20 right here. See these little loops on the end? Not this. This is a knot. This is your stitch. and chain 1, kind of pull it tight and turn. Not too tight. You've just made 2 rows of single crochet. Give yourself a hand. Yay! 2 rows of single crochet. This is a single crochet stitch. Kind of looks like a box. See? It's kind of a box. These are harder to count, so counting in each row is what I would recommend. Count your V's, make sure you have 20 stitches across, and make a few more rows of these stitches. You're just going to chain 1 and turn at the very end of every row. It's very simple. Go back and forth, do exactly what we were doing, and make a few rows of these. Pause the video, and then come back and we'll learn another stitch. Right side versus wrong side. This is important. How do you know which side of your piece is the correct side? So we have a right side and a wrong side. So remember, you made a chain and then you came back in that chain to come this way. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, it's reversed. And then you keep turning back and forth and back and forth. So how do you know which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side? First of all, what I want you to do is I want you to have your locking stitch marker, and you're gonna mark either the right side or the wrong side. To make it easier, let's just mark the correct side, okay? We're gonna mark the right side. So, how do you know? Your tail is on the left, this is facing up, this is the right side. So we're gonna mark it. There, now you know what the right side is. Now, let's look at our stitches here. Looking at our stitches, these are single crochets. This little shape right here. This one is a little harder because this is the wrong side. It looks like the pie symbol. See? Leg, leg, bar. But the single crochet stitch properly looks like a little box or a square. This is very much a square shape. So think of it like a square. So where are our squares? Well, here's one. Oh, and here's our pie symbol. So we've got square, pie, square. So we've got square, pie, square, which means we've got 1, 2, 3 rows. This is how you count your rows. You identify your stitch and you go up. So here's our base with our V, right? And then here's our little box or our square, and then right above that is our little pie symbol. So we've got square, pie, and then here's another square. So we've got 3 rows. Also, here's a trick. You'll know that you're on an odd row because your tail will be over here when you're done with the row. This was row 1, 2, 3. And that's how you count your single crochet stitches. Square, pie, square. Here is the right side with our tail on the left. And now you know how to count your stitches and which side is wrong and which side is right. Now, why is this the right side? Because the wrong side will have pie as your first shape. See? Our little pie symbol is our first row. If your pie symbol is the first row of your piece, you are on the wrong side. But if your first row is a square, you're on the right side. Also, the tail will help you. Okay? So don't cut off your tails. Tails are very important. We can sew them in at the end. Okay? Now you know right side versus wrong side. Now we're going to learn the slip stitch. We're going to place our hook under that V again, just like we've done for the single crochet. We're going to yarn over, grab our yarn. However, we're going to pull it through and then pull it through again. That is a slip stitch. So we're going to insert our hook under the V, yarn over, pull through the V, and pull through the loop. that is a slip stitch. So we're going to go in, over, through, through. Try and keep this stitch relatively loose because it's hard to get stitches into slip stitches afterwards, especially if you make them too tight. So we're going to go in, over, through, through. In, over, through, through. In, over, through, through. We just keep saying that to ourselves. In, over, through, through. In, over, through, through. In, over, through, through. And look at that. This is a slip stitch. It's really nice to put on like the edge of baskets or to make something a little bit stronger because it's a very tight stitch. Even if you keep it loose, it's still a tight stitch. It's really nice as like a finishing stitch as well, in my personal opinion. I love putting these on the edge of my baskets. So yeah, so today you have learned 2 new stitches. You've learned the single crochet and the slip stitch. I encourage you to practice both these stitches this week if you can, so that you start to get a rhythm, because we're going to learn a new stitch next week. Come back next Thursday and we'll learn something new together. Remember, life happens, yarn helps, and spoonies can stitch it up too. Bye!